Now, the economic freedom fighters leader Julius Malema has called on all party members, South African citizens and other stakeholders not to be moved by concerns leading up to the national shutdown set for Monday next week. Malema says his party will not be looting, but warns against anyone who intends to challenge the protesters. Now, the EFF is calling for the resignation of President Cyril Ramaphosa, demanding an end to load shedding, crime, unemployment, among the pressing issues in the country. Business, however, has condemned the planned shutdown, highlighting its potential adverse impact on the economy. Meanwhile, the Cape Town mayor has applied for an interdict. StandUp SA organizer and spokesperson Khustaz Mtwentwe joins us now to talk about this shutdown. Khustaz, thanks for joining us. Good to have you on the program.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Leanne, and thank you so much, and good morning to the listeners.
So, Khustaz, let's, I suppose, start off by talking about your stance on this march that is scheduled to take place on Monday.
Well, our stance is that StandUp SA is a non-partisan organization. And at the same time, when a political party do what a political party needs to do, we have no say on what they do. But what is important in the same manner that we have no say on DA, on what the ANC does. But it also doesn't mean that we cannot comment on what political parties do. We must acknowledge that the country is in crisis, Leanne, and something needs to be done. Now, DA did something, went to Lutuli House. Now it's the EFF's turn. They want to go to the union buildings. They have a right to do those things as per the Constitution. However, we must also look at this and say, how is it possible that we're in this crisis now? Because it is because of the absence of leadership. Every indicator that points to a country that is not being managed or governed very well. So when a political party decides to do a protest to the union buildings, our thought is that something has to be done, and also it must be done within the confines of the law. That is where we stand.
Okay. So your concern is that you're saying that EFF have all the right to do what they're doing, but they need to stay within the confines of the law. So let's ask, because there are a lot of South Africans that are worried about next Monday and have genuine concerns about, some violence that may erupt and all of the, I suppose, in a way, fear-mongering that is doing the rounds. Your viewpoint on all of this? I mean, do you think that this could get out of hand, or do you think that this is exactly as you said? The EFF have every single right to do exactly what they're doing and to address issues that are imperative to the future of this country.
Let me just put this way on the fear of mongering. South Africans are living in fear already, even without the EFF saying anything. So on Monday, it's not the first protest that the EFF has done in the country. They have done protests before. My understanding is this: when they went to ESCOM, I think last year also, or 2021, it was a peaceful protest. We must then ask a question as to what is different this time around. What is different this time around is that there are people who are not happy with what the EFF is doing. And now, but then the bigger question must be asked is that if you join the march, would you be feel threatened or not? Let's just say the answer is a no. EFF, by saying maybe what they are saying if there is someone who wants to be an agitator or a provocator of what they want to do, then that's what they say. However, let's go back to the state. The state has a responsibility to ensure that our rights are protected. It is the duty of the state to make sure that whatever the march happens on Monday, everyone is safe, the businesses are safe. You cannot then call on the protesters for like we're calling on the EFF. We're calling on the wrong horse. We must call on the government because they have the monopoly on crime prevention or even on making sure that these things happen. Let the government handle the responsibility of making sure that the constitutional rights of each and every South Africans are protected.
Yeah. Khustaz, will you and your members and your organization be joining in the march? Because it sounds like the EFF is echoing your sentiments as well.
From a point of view, we're a non-partisan organization. Remember, means that most of the people that are asked are just simply not aligned to any political party. If, for instance, one of our people wants to go there, they can go there at their own will, simply because we cannot stop anyone. What we are asking for is very simple. This country needs all hands on deck. including businesses, by the way. Now, there's a thing about business. Business, when they're doing well, they don't want to be bothered. When they're not doing well, the next thing, everybody must join in. When the ANC removed Zuma in 2017, it was a peaceful protest that occurred there. What is it that we cannot do the same thing now? Let's just say if the FF says remove the president can be removed peacefully by putting pressure to the ANC to say the country is not being governed very well. We are not happy, right? So we are saying whoever wants to go, they must go. This is their constitutional right. Those who don't want to go, please, they must stay at home and be safe. Whether we are saying we need all hands on deck to help this country to get out where it is, including business, including civil society, including political parties. So our message is very clear. Everyone must do something. We cannot sit and watch this country going down like it does. It's easy to blame someone who's eating, but what about those who are sitting at home doing nothing?
Yeah. The reality is, if we look back to the issue of when we saw the protests against former President Jacob Zuma and the Zuma must fall, and political parties coming together in the streets and calling for basically the fall of President Jacob Zuma. The question needs to be asked is what is different between what is being organized now by the EFF and what was organized then? Because in the middle of all of this, the corruption is at the same levels, the electricity situation is worse, businesses are on their knees, and there's so many other aspects. Infrastructure is failing. You look at the roads around the country, I mean, you can't drive on a road without getting your tire burst or anything like that. Crime levels are out of control. They're at an all-time high. There are many, many issues that when we look back to 2017, when people took to the streets and were calling for Zuma to fall, if we look at the two situations, I'm not sure there's much difference. In fact, it could possibly be worse as we sit here in 2023. So when you look at the reaction from the likes of the DA, from the likes of Action SA, from the likes of many other political parties and people that are saying that this must not go ahead, why are we doing this? It almost doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't make sense. But at the same time, I think what they are calling for is that the constitutional rights of other people must not be violated. Let's be clear on that. The EFF has marched before. Has it ever violated anyone's right? The answer would be no. Why is it that now we are scared that they will violate other people's rights? That's the question must be asked. This is a double standard, by the way, from political parties. Let's be honest about it. Is that when they didn't want Zuma, they supported marches. Now that there's a president whom they like, they side with him, so they are now saying, no marches, not the shutdown. The EFF did not say, put it this way, it says it's going to be a shutdown. The state has a responsibility to counter what the EFF wants to do within the confines of the law. The EFF, even Julius, he spoke actually, he said businesses must operate at the same time. And then he says buses must not work. In short, I think what the message needs to present here is this. EFF, if they are allowed to do the march and people decide to go to work, the EFF did not say people should not go to work. All right? Now, it's the rhetoric of politics. That's how these things work. The police have to make sure that people are allowed to go to work. Taxis, for instance, are available on Monday. What does that mean? It simply means then that they have a right to operate. Trucks have a right to operate on Monday. So what the EFF is doing is just to gather the support that is required. But after all, they will go there. They will not destroy anyone's property. But they are saying, do not stop us on our way. That's what they're saying. If there's no one stopping EFF to march to Pretoria, there will be no reason for them to damage your house, to damage your shop, to damage anything, because they understand that you're in business. So this is politics. So let's be honest and let's be straight up forward about this. This country needs all hands on deck, and let there be no this fear-mongering. Probably the protest on Monday is going to go peacefully because the EFF has conducted peaceful marches before. Yeah. And the state needs to stand up at the same time to do what needs to be done. So there is no difference by the between 2017 and now. It's like that now we are dishonest. Yeah, but we seem to like this president. We are frustrated with him and stuff like that. We should just call on ANC to make sure that they make the changes that are required to get the wheels up and running within the confines of law. The ANC can change the government, by the way, if you want to.
Yeah. So one thing we did hear from Malema yesterday during his press conference is he asked, what if this is not a one-day event, but the beginning of a revolution? This is something that he did say. So what is the impact of marches or protests? As Malema says, this is not a march, but a protest. Do they have enough impact? Do you think that this will be able to resolve anything at all at this point?
Political party needs to do what a political party do. I don't think people are scared of the word revolution. Since when are we scared of the word revolution? When have we ever seen a revolution in South Africa in 30 years? There will be no revolution. What the EFF is advocating for is that let South Africans stand up. They did not stop us to protest peacefully. The fact that they are saying this can be massive rolling action, it is a good thing. We are a country in crisis. Why are we sitting down? Why are we criticizing some people who are doing something? So if they want to do the mass rolling action as a political party, let them do it. By the way, ANC can do the same. Civil society can do the same. We need transformation. We need change within the confines of the law. The NEC of the ANC must make the same horrible decisions that they did in 2017. They went to the president and sat down with him and said, things are not going well, let's change. The president of the ANC did not stop it. So why is it that this time around we're not putting that pressure to them to say, look, make the changes. The crime is out of control. The economy is tanking. It's not safe to be in the countries. The border are out of control, right? And everything, people are losing jobs in this country. Things have to change. For me, I'm saying EFF has the right to do what the political party needs to do. The A did the same thing. The businesses of South Africa needs to start to get involved and say to themselves, see, on Monday we're not working. That's fine. Right? Because the country needs a change. When they wanted to change, you know what they did? The business in South Africa, they funded him. They gave them millions of friends to win an election. Even the same thing now, they must go back to the ANC and say, we were wrong. If there's something that we need to do, ANC deploys, let's sit down again and talk. The Oppenheimers did in the apartheid days. They went to speak to the ANC. Things are wrong. Let's change. We want that type of a collective effort.
Yeah. You know, when one looks at, we'll just take one issue, we'll look at load shedding. And the reality is that if we are in, and it's been said, I mean, we've heard ministers and many people talking to this, that if we're on stage 6 per day, the economy loses 1 billion rand a day. That's just in one day due to the electricity. There's been a massive outcry in the call of businesses to shut down on this one day because of the prolonged period, and we've seen these prolonged periods of shutdown, of load shedding, of all of this happening, and the impact on our economy. And yet, as a country, we keep complaining, we keep saying that something must be done, but when something is being done, there's a problem. Is it perhaps, and we've been talking about this all the time, and I suppose I'm asking you a question I know the answer to, is it because it's the EFF that are planning this, that other parties are now coming in and saying, not a chance, they mustn't do this, this is not right, that it's just a matter of politics at play once again, and nobody is honestly concerned about the future of South Africa?
It's true. No one is actually concerned about the future of South Africa. Yes, it is because of the EFF. When StandUp SA conducted a non-partisan march, we got the support. South Africans know what needs to be done, but they need to see who does it, right? When a DA did something, South Africans stood up. What we need is a collective effort to rescue this country in a peaceful means. So right now, people are angry because it's EFF, and EFF has a lot of support. And I think a lot of people envy this thing. And they hate this thing that the EFF has got so much support because they don't like them, you see. And I think that that's just very wrong. If you don't like EFF, doesn't mean you must throw the country down as well with it. There are a lot of people who don't like ANC, right? But they're not throwing the country down. So I'm then of the view, there are a lot of people who don't like DA. I'm then of the view, we have to do some things again. We cannot continue. For instance, on Monday, businesses can just shut down one day. It's fine. Give people leave. Why can't they do that? Give people leave because it's just the way that it is. What are you doing for? You might indirectly support that. At the same time, you're saying to people, I want you to be safe. And we cannot complain the way that we're complaining. We have to do something in the end. And I think it disappoints me that we always talk, but we don't want to act. When we act, Khustaz, who's non-partisan, we don't support him. When the EFF acts, we also don't support him. When the DA acts, we don't support him. What is it that we want in the end? What is it that we want? If we want change, it's going to come in an uncomfortable manner. We cannot just think that everything is smooth. No, it will be sacrifices. Take one day leave to go to that march. Take one day off to go to that march. Up until we then we are heard. Right now, we're not being heard.
Khustaz, we leave it there. Sakina's also listening, by the way. She's listening very, very closely to everything you're saying. Khustaz, thank you. Thanks for talking to us. StandUp SA organizer and spokesperson Khustaz Mtwentwe commenting on the EFF national protest that's planned for Monday, the 20th of March. Yeah, what do we want, South Africa? We complain when it's happening, but we complain when it's not happening either.